at the angelic trumpet sound would occur after the 3.5-year period. So that's either mid-trib, pre-wrath, or post-trib. The only thing it really can't be is pre-trib.
When I looked at the document and studied it, it seemed to me that it argued more for a mid-trib rapture, or a rapture that was certainly not pre-tribulational. It didn't seem to me to support the idea that there was going to be a rapture before the 7th week even started.
There are actually a couple of ways to check our facts here. The first is this idea about being thrown into confusion. Here in this last paragraph, this confusion is what happens after the rapture. The author equates the judgment of the world and the wrath of God with confusion. And if we go back up to the quote pre-tribbers always use, we can see something interesting when it says, "All the saints and elect of God are gathered together before the tribulation which is to come, and are taken to the Lord, in order that they may not see at any time the confusion which overwhelms the world because of our sins." This confusion is what the writer said Christians would escape by participating in the rapture. So we have contextual proof that when the writer said the church would escape the tribulation, he was using the word tribulation to describe the wrath or judgment of God upon those left behind. We certainly know he wasn't talking about escaping the Antichrist or persecution, since he absolutely believed the church would face the Antichrist before the rapture. So once again, the pre-tribs swing and miss when it comes to the church fathers. Another 5 of his 15 quotes in this paper are from about 1586 to 1795. They are quotes from premillennial historicists who believe in something called the pre-conflagration theory. Now, on the one hand, these quotes are irrelevant because they are all things that pre-wrathers believe too. Take, for example, this quote from Peter Jurieu, who died in 1713. "Christ would come in the air to rapture the saints and return to heaven before the battle of Armageddon." This quote may be a problem for some post-tribulationists, but pre-wrathers, like pre-tribbers, believe that the rapture will happen well before Armageddon. That is, the rapture happens, and then Armageddon happens later on. So it's notable that Stitzinger wastes a full 5 of his 15 quotes on something that is at best a rebuke of some post-tribulationists. You might as well call these proof for the pre-wrath rapture if your only criteria is that the quote must be bad for post-tribulationists. Interestingly, Thomas Ice of the Pre-Trib Resource Center wrote a paper which is effectively rebuking people like Stitzinger, who use quotes from pre-conflagrationalists and claim they are supporting pre-tribulationism. Because as Ice, who is obviously a pre-tribber, notes, Meade's interval, the pre-conflagration theory, between the rapture and the second coming is likely only hours or days, but not years as required by a pre-tribulational viewpoint. The 2 Peter 3 verse 10 conflagration is a final destruction of the heavens and earth in preparation for the millennium within Meade's system. Stitzinger never mentioned any of this in his paper. In fact, he points to one of these conflagration quotes from John Gill in his conclusion as conclusive proof for a pre-Darby belief in the pre-trib rapture, which is utterly absurd. The few quotes I haven't dealt with yet are pretty easily dismissed. For example, he quotes a cult leader in the 1300s, and even the guy who originally published this particular quote admits that the writer actually believed that they were living in the last 3.5 years of end-time tribulation. So whatever it is, it's not pre-tribulationism. In conclusion, pre-tribbers know they can't find anything close to pre-tribulationism in the early church fathers. The early church, almost without exception, taught that the rapture would take place at some unknown time after the Antichrist arrived and began persecuting Christians. In other words, if you had to pick a modern rapture position that best fit the early church, it's obviously the pre-wrath position. If you liked this film, please consider sharing it with your friends and family. It is by far the best way to help get the message out. We are counting on the small percentage of you that understood and were impacted by this film to reach those that you feel need to hear this message. This film is free on the web, but you can buy physical copies at our website, 7pretribproblems.com, where we will provide free resources, videos, and much more content to learn about the pre-wrath rapture. Thanks for watching.
If the enemy has